Cup champions.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Cluster Puck Podcast, part of the MHRT Network here at Center Ice. I am Nick. Beside me here is the next great all-star for next season, Britt. How are you feeling?
Yeah, the all-star of the geriatric. I feel
hey, I mean, MVPs come in many ways. So.
The age is hitting me today. But I'm sitting here with the newest and youngest member of the Cluster Puck Podcast. Yes, so if I'm a little finicky, I've got this needy little child. We haven't decided on a name. We really like, my son likes Gabe Landis Dog, so we've been calling him Captain. But we really like I like Bedsy a lot too. So we're working on it. We're seeing what fits. At this point, I think we should call him McDermott or even Jeff little ankle biter. So yeah, he's a lot of dog in 2 pounds. So
we'll see where cute. Lands. Absolutely adorable. What was the name that I pitched out? I don't remember. Chirp, right? I got Chirp.
I like Chirp a lot. I like Chirp, and I also
there were a lot of good names that were thrown out. Those
I know. At first, I was like, we're gonna name him Raymond Bark. Raymond Bark was what we had said. And then it's like it didn't feel right, so I don't know. We're just gonna see how it feels.
Wow.
I like Bender too because he's really clumsy. He really likes to run into the mirror. So I was trying to
very good
back what Bender meant, and I don't know if it'll just be taken as a Futurama reference constantly. So we'll
fingers crossed that it hopefully does. I mean, unless we're talking about the drug abuse one, yeah. That's the other one. I'm like, people could think of that one. But no, that's cute. Well, welcome to the family. Is he going to be a recurring co-host on the show?
Probably.
Hope so.
I have a feeling this neediness isn't going anywhere anytime soon. If I put him on the floor, I guarantee he'll be barking.
We'll create a segment just for it's a him or a her.
Him. Yep, it's a little boy.
We'll make a segment just for him. We'll just ask if Ray Bark knows or whatever the name ends up being. Something like that. That's great. Good for you. Congratulations.
Thanks.
So that being said, now that there's little pooches in our podcast, we are also a dog and pet friendly podcast. So if you have names of your animals and pets, dogs, cats, parrots, whatever, let us know in the comments section.
More better names. I posted on Twitter a while back. We weren't sure if we were going to get him. He's actually a sibling to my dog who passed away earlier this year. So we weren't sure if we were going to go for this litter, and we ended up getting one. So if you got any better names, show us your hockey dog names and your non-hockey dog names. I've already named entirely too many dogs after TJ Oshie and Alex.
And that's not a bad thing. Well, very good. Very good. Well, that's a good piece of happy news to share. Another good piece of happy news is if you like what you see here on the Cluster Puck Podcast, you can go ahead and follow that on the MHRT Network so you can get notified when the show goes live. You can follow that on YouTube, Facebook, wherever you get your live streams. But if you want to follow us specifically, you can follow us at Cluster Puck Avs, AVS. I had a guy ask me how to spell Avs, and it's AVS. Cluster Puck Avs on Twitter and Instagram. Say that again.
Don't get that E in there.
I know, Aves. Good stuff, man. And then you can follow us on the Cluster Puck Podcast on Facebook, and then clusterpuckpodcast@gmail.com. Okay, a couple little pieces of information that we want to get to real fast. First, our condolences are off to the Hull family. We learned this morning that Bobby Hull died, so just want to let our thoughts be with him and that with his family at this time. Blackhawks legend, great hockey player.
Amazing hockey player, terrible person. That's
there's a lot of controversy surrounding his personal life for sure, but on the ice goes, you can't beat what he did. Nope. But another piece of news as well, that the Bo Horvat sweepstakes have officially ended.
What the crap?
Traded about an hour, 2 hours ago to the Islanders in exchange for Anthony Beauvillier and
I
then
don't know.
another
Do
player
you
in a pick.
follow that like NHL trade rumors that just throws like absolutely absurd rumors out and it's like a joke? When I saw that, I seriously thought it was that page. I was like, there's no way. But I don't understand what's the end game here. Like, do they legitimately there has to be some kind of signing coming with it? I don't know.
My thought, and this is so my brother actually texted me this about the Bo Horvat trade because I was still working at the time, but just for my day job, I mean. And so he texts me and he says, like, let me guess, Tarasenko's next. And I was like, Tarasenko's next? And then about Bo Horvat. And he was saying like Tarasenko to the Islanders, and I was like, wait, what? Time out. What's happening? I'm thinking his speculation is that maybe the Islanders are starting to go after people now, so like Bo Horvat, Tarasenko, people like that, and they're going to start that train wagon going.
Do they honestly think that like that's the push that they need to get a?
Who knows? The Islanders.
I just don't understand them in for a rental seems absolutely absurd. I was almost wondering if it would come out that it was a sign and trade, but doesn't sound like that.
It's still possible. I mean, the Islanders, they're one for theatrics with their announcements, right? So it could be like they've announced the trade, but then it's all of a sudden a switcheroo, like
yep.
Who knows?
God forbid Lamoureux, like he just did anything normal, anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're not getting him.
Oh, so we can go ahead and if you had Bo Horvat to the Avs this season, I mean, still not out of the realm of possibility, but it's just scratch it off. Not going to happen. But that does bring up a very good question, though. Can we finally, after this All-Star break, which we'll get to, the big thing I want to talk about real quick is after this All-Star break, it is supposed to be that Manson and Byram will come back. Does that mean we have a full and complete roster with the exception of Landeskog? I think it is.
I hope so. I just couldn't. You'd think that would be like a landing point. They've been in a non-contact jersey and on ice for a while. So you'd think that they're like, well, there's no sense in going back now. We'll just wait till after the All-Star break because this is kind of the last milestone before basically like trade deadline. So
correct.
Hopefully that's kind of what they're making for their, their projected comeback as a pinpoint,
Yeah. And when I say like with the exception of Landeskog and stuff, I am under the assumption that Darren Helm is out for this season. So it sucks, but
so especially at this point in his age, he said that he was considering retiring last year. You've got the Nieto trade going down, which is something I'm entirely too excited to talk about. But you got to kind of wonder if that's filling in, looking to fill in a gap that might potentially be retiring or.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because the most recent transaction that did happen as far as Avs country went was they sent Anton Bleed and Ben Myers down. Right. So that to me says that they're beginning to get players back, or at least that's the anticipation.
Myers is playing well, so he's actually going to get ice time with the Eagles during the All-Star break. So who knows if it's just to keep his legs moving throughout the All-Star break, because
I would hope so. But poor guy, I feel like him and Logan O'Connor are just overdue for goals.
Myers can't hit an open net if his life depended on it. And LOC has worked harder than 80% of NHL players.
He's working with bad luck. That's just what he has gotten so many good chances, but it just seems like one stupid thing, like a stupid stick is in the way, the puck bounces over his stick, like this.
The post grows 3 inches every time he shoots. Incredible.
But it seems like that thing might as well be a brick wall at this point.
Yeah.
It's like he can try everything he can, but it's either a master class of a save or say what's that?
What is that, like 36 games without a goal? Something
like that. I don't think he scored since Finland.
Nope.
That was November 11th or something around that area.
Yeah.
Quite
the thing is that's one of those things where like looking at the stat sheet does not tell you the game. which he did have a 2-point game the other night. He had 2 assists, but the stat sheet doesn't scream how insanely hard he's been working, and he just hasn't reaped the rewards yet. And you'd think that at some point there's just going to be a waterfall of. I mean, the dude should
get the hat trick 3 games in a row.
Yeah. I mean, he deserves it. He truly does. It's that line in general has truly been the saving grace of the Avalanche. Between him and Newhook stepping up, which Newhook's just getting the goals out of it, but they just work so hard. It's crazy.
Yeah, definitely. The other piece of information that we wanted to bring up that you did, in fact, touch on, there was a trade of our own that we had during this week, and that was the reacquisition of the tennis tournament between the San Jose Sharks and us of a one Matt Nieto. It's because he went San Jose, Colorado, San Jose, now back to Colorado. It's like he's
got to just be so happy that he's finally not going to the crappy team for once, because he seems to go to the team as they're on a decline or at their worst and then leave as soon as that team starts doing okay. So it's probably really nice for him to come back when we don't suck, because he was there for the bad years.
Exactly. Yep. And 3 games in, and he's got 1 empty netter. And my gosh, I thought that first game he was going to get a hat trick. These first 3 games, he has played phenomenally.
Yes,
like it was like, wow, we won that trade hands down.
For sure.
Like, just crazy good stuff. So we get what's the kid's name that we just sent down? Merkley, Ryan Merkley.
Yeah, which he did get a game already.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like he does not work very hard. So he's not very complimentary to Nieto. He's and it sounds like that's going to be the issue with him. So we'll see, because they won't tolerate it very long. So
yeah, that's what the rumors were swirling around when we first got him. I did some research and just kind of looked into who Ryan Merkley was, and he was a higher prospect when he was drafted, but I guess it was because of some attitude and work related problems that he ended up getting tiered down. So, hopefully, in our organization, I think we have a good enough organization to hopefully maybe change that around.
Exactly.
But
no one can do it. It's our luck.
It's exactly. So hopefully that jives well, and he begins to become a hard worker and stuff like that. But we end up so we get Matt Nieto and Ryan Merkley in exchange for Jacob McDonald and Martin Kaut.
Mm-hmm.
We knew the Martin Kaut thing was coming. He tried his best, and like I said, he wasn't making mistakes. It's just that he wasn't necessarily helping the team at the time. He's already played with the Barracuda and tallied 2 goals and a goal, for crying out loud.
Which he was a serviceable AHL player for sure, but he should be doing more at this point in his career. So honestly, I hope for him that the change of scenery does him some good, and that's kind of, you can consider, for both Merkley and Merkley had actually asked for a trade at the beginning of this year. So for Merkley and Kaut, it's kind of, let's trade our failed prospects and see if one of them can find what makes them tick in a positive way. And then Jacob McDonald, you get a very good AHL player. You get one who being able to play forward and D is valuable. It's very valuable. So even if you're not a top forward or a top D, there's a lot of value in being able to play both. So it's not we get the help now a lot more than they do. An immediate help and an immediate bump.
Yeah. Yep. And it's one of those things, because the San Jose Sharks being, for me, my second team, right? It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to see this go down, because you're like, well, they're never really gone, because I still watch as many Sharks games as I do Avs games, But I'm hoping what Cowton. What's that?
They've got Magna too, don't they? I think he was on the ice during the game.
They have Magna's brother, because there's 2, there's Jacob and Jason. And I can't remember which, but I think he has whichever one is not on the Avs or wasn't on the Avs. But what I'm guessing they're going to try and do is kind of pushed for that Barracuda team to really have some kind of a, I guess, veteran leadership. Because the thing is, Cal,
Which
like I said,
McDonald is that.
he excels very well in the AHL. It's
Yeah.
just the NHL, he just can't quite get to that step of
Yeah, he's got
performing.
something like his body language has always rubbed me a little bit wrong. And even when you listen to those interviews and stuff, he just seems to have a little bit of like Eeyore to him.
Yeah.
And that just doesn't
Yep.
work with the team that we have. So hopefully this can be it, because I mean, he was supposed to do big things. And I actually
Yep.
didn't even know, I hadn't remembered that his first year, he was actually out for almost an entire year with a heart issue prior
Something
or
like that,
right
yeah.
after the draft. Yeah. So he just I think he's a really unlucky guy, but he just didn't ever have great body language, and he just was so inconsistent. But McDonald, I mean, even if he plays for the Barracudas, they're getting an incredible person in him. He's a leader. He's a good
Oh, yeah.
person. He works hard.
He
Unfortunately,
does.
he came out and was incredible during when he was on our taxi squad. And I mean, he truly looked like he was going to break in and stay. And he was his first concussion was the Truba hit, correct? And then he got another one. He got another big head hit.
Talking about McDonald, correct?
Yeah, he's just never been the same. He got 2 big
Yeah.
head hits, and that's part of the reason I hate.
He had a lot of potential.
Yep.
And now Truba has been rewarded with being a captain for the New York Rangers.
So disgusting. It's sad to me though that people are kind of like counting McDonald. Doesn't really mean much. They are not helping us, but you got to think like this affects the Eagles a lot. I mean, we are trading away their captains and their leaders and their scorers, and I honestly could not even imagine trying to coach that team or trying to keep things together, because we just take their players, we let them get injured, and we send them back home, and then we pull them back up and send them home, and then we put them on waivers and they get claimed. And
it's an emotional ride in order to have to do that constantly. It's it's difficult to do. So
yeah, but it's a big loss for the Eagles. Losing McDonald and Kaut is a very big loss.
Definitely is. Yep, I'd agree. So hopefully Ben Myers, since he's been sent down there, he kind of gets a bit more of that leadership to kind of, I guess, grandfather in Merkley and kind of show him the ropes, maybe a little attitude change or whatever it is that is going on. I don't know the full story.
Yeah.
But as far as pound for pound goes, I still think that Kaut and McDonald combined are the product of Nieto minus Nieto can actually.
And that's produce, the way I see it is it just falls off the face of the earth and we never hear anything about him again. Having Nieto that's all we need. I think that the Merkley is a little experiment that they'll spend very little time on. We don't have a lot invested in him, but having Nieto come in, and it's clear by his immediate impact and we're even putting him in as a spot filler for Nichushkin, which is like Matt Nieto's
on second line.
Yeah, that's not where he belongs.
It's as if he never left.
I know, and that's you gotta put value in his ability to. We know where he fits in the locker room. We know how he fits on the ice. We know his work ethic. We know his off the ice lifestyle. So there's a lot of value and very little risk. It was a very low risk move for us. So I figure even if Merkley is nothing, doesn't hurt anything.
Yeah, exactly. Because right now, the Avs are in this window, the Stanley Cup window, right? And they have been for the last 2-3 years. However long we've been making it to the second round at least. So we still have to have that production, the ability to win, right? Yeah. And with that addition of Nieto, you're essentially replacing Martin Kaut, right? More because he's a forward, right? But with McDonald with Manson and Byram coming back and stuff, that then becomes your now upper echelon for defense to rock its thing and do its job. So you're at a point now where you've taken your team a step up. Darren Helm's out, but Matt Nieto does more than enough to reach that. So I think what McFarland and Sakic did, I think was a great move. It was a simple move, but it's the right piece.
It was so out of left field too. And it's so funny because I remember at the beginning of the year talking about we should just get Nieto back. Like, let's just because I just love the guy. I mean, and it's so far
I
beyond.
think you called that. Yep.
He's just a very lovable person. He's
Yep.
personable, and there's just always something to be loved about a guy that just works his butt off every single game. He's just that LOC type, grind it out no matter what. Every shift is a new shift to go out there and work hard. So yeah, and that little stash of his he's got going on, I love it.
I was about to bring that up. That mustache is rocking, man. That is a good stash. But no, you're absolutely right. Like when he was with us back in, let's see, he left in 2020. So that prior year or thereabouts, he was a locker room favorite. You know, everyone loved Matt Nieto. I remember like in those days where oh yeah, because you can't hate him. He, you know, his off-ice ethic is just really good. He's really helpful with like charities and donations, just all that kind of stuff. You know, great. He's just a great dude, right? So for him to come back has just been like I think we were texting and we were just like both beaming, right? We're like, oh, he's back! Like this is great. And it went and showed in 3 games. He has given it all already. Has an empty netter. I think he might even have an assist, if I'm not mistaken. I'll pull up the stats as we go along. But all in all, though, definitely awesome addition.
Yeah,
exactly.
And it's only better. So especially as he's moving down and playing 3rd and 4th lines as opposed to playing against other teams.
Exactly. Well, even on because I know he was doing a first line pairing for a few shifts there on the Anaheim game, and dude was like playing Nathan McKinnon-esque. Like it was really good. Yeah. So that being said, let's go ahead and get into what happened last week, and then we'll
we got these comments here too.
All-Star break. So the big thing is really they were almost copy pastes of each other, right? With the Avalanche, the Ducks, and the Blues, the only difference being the Ducks actually were able to take advantage of the third period woes that the Avalanche were apparently having. Yeah. And typically it went like this, right? So for the Washington game, you go up by the third period, right? You go up 3-1, right? Mm-hmm. You're thinking everything's okay. 3-1 should be good. If you put it a fourth, basically that's the dagger, right? Well, let it be known that Alexander Ovechkin, when he sets up in a certain circle on the left side of the goalie, 9 times out of 10 he'll score. Right?
Did you see that video that was posted of him in the office? Yeah. Literally standing straight up, not bending his knees, and I mean he's not moving. 10 seconds.
He's just standing watching the play. It's crazy.
It's insane. It's absolute insanity. And then
just nuts.
You freezing up?
You're here. Are you here?
Okay. Yep, I'm here.
We might have lost her, I think. Nope, she's back.
Nope.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, you're freezing up for me, but it's not freezing up over here.
Okay. So, anyways, Ovechkin scores from his office, and as soon as that happens, though, all the momentum in that third period goes right to the Capitals, and it becomes a game of keep away. You're up, 1-0 or 3-2, stuff like that, and it's just you're really anxious because like there is nothing the Avalanche are doing right. Like just zero. They have like 3 shots or something like that. Exactly. Just and it ends up translating out throughout the rest of the game. The one spot I do want to say about this though is the fact that Andrew Cogliano stole a goal from Curtis McDermott.
Goal stealer, man. He does that all the time.
He's a goal stealer.
It's like he just sticks his fingers out when somebody shoots it so he can just get a little touch before it goes in the net. Because I think he's stolen now like 3 goals from McDermott, which that McDermott goal may have been going wide, but man, he's a goal stealer. Which
that's the thing. It's as soon as McDermott gets it up near the blue line there, he's going to shoot it, and I'm just like, because he has that ability. Like him and Brad Hunt, they can go there and snipe all day, and I would be more than okay with that. Oddly enough, but in either sense, that third period they just not only took their foot off the gas, began hitting the brakes.
And Georgie said, "No, not today. I'm going to make the most beautiful save I might make all season." Actually,
Yeah, pretty much off of his face, wasn't it? Was that one off of his face?
Yeah, it was like the one real late in the third period.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So we basically did it. I mean, we were outshot 39-26. We
Yep.
we should have lost the game. It's one of those ones that you come out feeling like we won, but it doesn't feel great. And
You're not really.
there's which we've had games where we've lost that we definitely should have won this year, but
Yep.
the Caps are saying there we should have won that. We were robbed. We got goalied.
Yeah.
Which Kemper also played very well.
He did. And that's kind of how you expect a player who played for his former team and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
They always tend to show out. But like I said, just the third period, they just let off the gas, and more than that, they hit the brake, you know, and that translates right into the Anaheim game. But this one, Anaheim actually took advantage of it, right?
Yeah, they sure
We're up again 3-1 by the close to the end of the second period, and then Vetrano, who gets a hat trick in the game, might I add, he scores a late, go up one goal, or excuse me, go get within one goal, I should say. And then it's just all Ducks the rest of the way. Third period, they just did not exist. There was nothing anyone could do. It was just like one of those, like, guys, what are we doing? It's the Ducks.
But also, if we're being honest, it was not a good game for Frankie. This is a game where you need a goalie to steal it for you, and not a big steal, just we need one more save. We need a save on that shot. And that's Frankie definitely was not on it tonight. And I think that was pretty obvious to everyone.
Yep. I definitely agree.
We should be able to hold it down too. I mean, it was.
Yeah, we should not have to rely on the goaltenders like we did for the Capitals and future Blues to have to bail us out. You don't want to have that.
Yep. Gibson always gets up for us. I don't remember the stats, but it was something like he's got a career 90% save average ish.
Yep.
But against the Avs, it's like a 93. Yep. It was something like that. The I don't know what it is. If he just something about the Avs, he gets up for it. So, but we could have had more goals. Also, we had missed opportunities in this game. So, our defense looked very tired. There's something we have got to figure out, and obviously, the addition of our two better defensemen will help with that third period fatigue in our defense. But blowing games like this is just unreal, especially when we're actually in a points crunch. We have got to be taking these points home. We cannot sacrifice these points. Like, it is just, I don't know. It's concerning. We didn't win a single game against the Coyotes last year, and we still won the Stanley Cup, but you can't continue to drop these games and still think that it's okay. Yeah.
So, but and that's exactly it. And Bill here actually does bring up a good point. It seemed like this was kind of a thing last year as well, because it's, down the stretch, like after the All-Star game, it seemed like the Avalanche always did play down to their competition's level and ended up having to come back in a lot of their games,
well, and that's our last 6 games before the playoffs. We lost several games in a row.
We lost like 7 of 8 or something, 6 of 7, something like that. It was really bad.
Yep.
But right now you have to play a full 60 minutes.
Right.
I don't care if you're up 7-0. Things happen fast, right? Like I watched the Sharks game against Carolina. And that one hurt to watch because they were up. They had a late goal with 5 minutes left. And then, then Carolina comes and ties it, or it comes within 1, I should say. Mm-hmm. They score an empty netter with 2 minutes left to go up 2. And then Carolina scores 1 right after that. After, they pull the goalie and all that stuff. They score 1, and then with like 10 seconds left, score another. And it's like, you guys scored an empty netter and still lost.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's just
like the third time in history that a team has lost after scoring an empty netter.
Exactly. Yep. It's there's only a handful of times, right? And it's like, go figure. Of course, it's the Sharks, my little brother team, but and then they lose once again in overtime. It's one of those, like, that's one of those things you should have won. But that being put into now an Avalanche sense is, that anything can happen, right? Like we lost to the
They're all
Blues
NHL
a few
teams.
months ago. We had a 6-on-3 and could not score one goal.
Well,
You
in
know?
this whole like the tanking thing, these Ducks players are still playing for their next contract.
Oh yeah.
The players don't tank. Upper management tanks, but these players don't tank. And what better way to get a good contract for next year or get to a better team than playing well against the defending Stanley Cup champion?
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's what it's going to be
Exactly.
for the rest of the year.
That's exactly right. Avatar brings up a good point because I did say that this,
Yep.
well, we both said, I should say, brought up the fact that this was one of those trap games.
Yeah.
I didn't quite think it would be something like this where it was you're up and then you kind of choke away the lead. I thought it was going to be the Ducks come out swinging, but in either sense, a loss is a loss, right?
If we had fought hard the whole game and lost after a hard fought game, it would hurt way less than a blown lead. The blown lead is what truly infuriates me because we had the ability to get the lead. It should be the easier part should be maintaining it.
It really should be.
So that's what makes it particularly concerning versus just losing a hard fought game that we just, couldn't get the lead. So I don't, blown leads really tick me off, especially two.
I would have rather it been like that last Florida Panthers game. We lose 5-4, but we were down, 4-1
Right.
and just clawed our way back.
Yeah.
And it was just, those heartbreakers, but at least you fought until the end.
Right.
I would have much rather had a loss like that than one that you had it. And then just third period, you don't show up and you lose 5-3.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So anyways, so you move on. You're like, okay, last game before the All-Star break, it's against the Blues. Stuff is going to go down with their goaltending.
Yeah, they're like Binnington's like, is he even starting at this point? But you bet your booty he's playing against the Avs. Doesn't matter if he's like playing in beer league, they'll still call him up to play against the Avs.
Exactly. Yep. So the big thing, there was the fact that Binnington once again is up to his antics. So my brother and I are texting throughout the entire game, right? and I told him as soon as we went up 3-0, I said this lead is not going to last. Just based off of the last two games that had happened, I said we will slowly choke away a lead until we become desperate to hold on to it.
Yeah, right? I feel more unease with a multi-goal lead at this point.
I know it's weird,
Not like that.
So that being said, we go up 3-0 after Evan Rodriguez gets a really great goal.
Yeah. And that first goal too. God, that Mac pass
by Newhook. Oh yeah, and he knew a rebound was coming too. Like that was
honestly,
crazy.
All of them were great. I could not believe that Mac got that pass through on that one to Lehkonen, the first goal of the game. I couldn't believe that he got that through. It was incredible. That was some Ovechkin stuff, falling and making stuff happen.
Yeah, that was really good. Was that was the Capitals game that he did?
Oh, was it? Am I mixing them up?
Well, no, but you're right. We should have brought that up either way.
That was the Caps game. Okay,
I thought he broke a rib though.
That pass was bomb, but yeah, Mac needs to stop giving us the scares because he took a finger in the Blues game too.
No, definitely.
Sounds like he's okay, but yeah, okay, I got him mixed up.
No, you're good. You're good. So Newhook, Comfort, and Rodriguez score goals. All of them fantastic, right? So here come Braden Shen and Barbashev. They score,
always
right?
Freaking Shen, man, I tell you.
I know. If Landeskog were out there, he would have put him in his place for sure. But Nieto had a great empty netter that put it away finally. Because I was like, as soon as we get to the 6-on-5 bit, I was like, they're going to tie the game. I was very pessimistic about the whole outcome, but very much to my surprise, Nieto gets the goal like 3 seconds left. But still, I would not risk it. I don't care if it's as the game's ending,
especially when it's the Blues, because that's just.
It's a 4-point swing.
It's always something with them. It's always something with them.
Yep.
And
in this case, it happens to be A1 Jordan Binnington.
For the love of God, let McDermott beat his face in.
Oh, did you see McDermott smiling at Binnington? Oh, and Georgiev skating out of his crease to center ice. He was.
Well, do people remember that Georgiev broke D'Angelo's face? Georgiev is not scared of confrontation. He's a
nice guy until he doesn't have to be, and then he is.
And then I like how he says, "I just wanted to have a talk." He just wanted to talk to him.
Yep.
And the ref
But
waves him off. Like, nah.
but
Go.
here's what I don't like about the situation. So Logan O'Connor's fighting to get the puck right as Bennington traps it, whatever. Bennington clearly doesn't like it, right? So he skates up to,
Right.
O'Connor,
Happens
all big and
65 times
macho
a
and
day.
stuff. It's like, oh my gosh, I don't believe what could possibly be going through this goaltender's mind to pull stupid stuff like this. A
Mm-hmm.
big old scrum ensues and stuff like that. And O'Connor gets a slashing penalty.
Right. So McDermott is the extra man in. So
Right.
technically, we should have had a wash there. And then the
It
ref
should have been.
backtracked and said that the slash happened during the play prior to the scrum, which whatever. It did not.
There was no
There's
slash. Like
no
I
reason.
watched that play 30,000
Oh,
times and I'm like, where?
We should not have come out there on the PK. That was ridiculous.
Exactly.
Especially
And
when we weren't to game management point. There was no calls
Yep.
owed. It wasn't
Yep.
out of control in any fashion up until that point. And like, what exactly does the instigator penalty what is it used for if not this? Because he is the epitome of an instigator. Why will they not let somebody beat his butt? Like, I just want to see him get punched in the face. That's
I don't get it. But in either sense, they come out on top with a power play out of all this. Like I don't personally understand it. I agree. It should have been a wash. 2 guys each for roughing.
Yep.
That's it, right?
Right.
But and from that, I think this was the one where they got Braden Shen's power play goal.
Yeah, they scored on the power play.
They scored off of it when they really should not have been a man up.
Our power play has been, or our penalty kill has been really good. I don't think we had allowed a goal in many penalty kills since then. So it was just a bad, bad swing. I mean, it really just was. That's all.
Yep. But the end result is you got to win. Yes, it was as Bill would say, booty cheeks clenching tight.
Yes.
But yeah, like just the whole time, I can't stand Bennington. It's just he does these dumb things that you're just like that right in itself. Like when he swung. You remember last season when he swung his stick, baseball bat style, to Kadri's head.
Yep. And I get the riling up your team, but he's overplayed it. You can't pull that card every time you play us, every single time. And every time you play other teams too. He's overplayed it. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows he's not going to fight. And hopefully just at some point, somebody forces the fight before a ref can intervene. Unfortunately, it wasn't McDermott, but I sure would have liked for it to be.
Yep. Or in the case of, was it Stahl when they played the Carolina Hurricanes?
Body checked him.
He went to body check him, and Stahl's like a 6'7" dude. He's like, "What are you doing?" And he just levels Bennington. Yeah. And it's like, and nobody came to fight Stahl after that because everyone saw Bennington going to check, and it's like, you're a goalie. You should not be doing stupid stunts like that.
Well, and I was super curious if he would be pulled because his coach is not a fan of it, but they're going to have to figure out how to make peace because they've got him for like the next 5 years at $6 million. So it's only getting uglier from here.
Yeah, I just why
but
the
he's
Blues
going to be the reason that they won't sign young goalies to long-term contracts anymore because it's going to age very poorly, and you can't trust a goalie that's had one strong run with a very strong defense in front of him. Like it was such a
I don't know
decision. So
just ridiculous.
Someday, whoever beats him up will be the most beloved NHL player for a long time.
Oh yeah.
It'll be every bit of news.
And speaking of beloved NHL players, let's jump into that now for our next segment. So, week has passed. We end on a good note. Again, third periods. Hopefully they get turned around so that they're playing a full 60, but everyone gets to enjoy a very nice All-Star break, with the exception of 3 Avalanche players who are going to be in the All-Star game.
Yeah, I'm curious if they'll all go.
I'm at a point where it's like, honestly, just take the 1-game suspension and don't go. Get as much rest as you can.
Especially, I don't know if Mac does not seem like the type that wants to do this. And so I'd be curious if he played off that stinger that he got to not go. for injury.
Yeah.
And honestly, Makar could probably make a case. And Miko needs the break. I mean, I want to see them all there, but also I just want them to rest really bad.
Yep. And
But
you
we
know,
can't sacrifice James with them.
yeah, and then in the All-Star game, they're not like going, full on checking to the boards and stuff like that. Like they understand health is a big thing and it's kind of more of a showcase more than anything.
Right.
But at the same time, it's energy use still.
Yeah,
traveling and exactly all that kind of stuff. But in either sense, we still have 3, as far as we know, that are still representing. So real quick, let's discuss this All-Star game because a few fun things actually are going in. So we talked about who the Central Division teams are. There have now been a couple substitutions. Austin Matthews is playing an injury, and so he's being replaced with Alexander Barkov of the Florida Panthers.
Okay.
And they said today that Matty Berniers of the Seattle Kraken is not going to play, and so they replaced him with Chandler Stevenson of the Vegas Golden Knights. Both, I think, very deserving of it. Great players.
What happens with Bo Horvat since he's in a different conference now? How does that?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. Was he nominated? Was it Horvat from?
I thought he was. Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I don't know how that would work.
You might actually bring up a good point. Let me. All-Star.
It was such a bizarre timing for this too. Like, it
was a bit odd of timing. Yep. Let's see. If I go there, because you actually might be right.
Yeah.
Let's see. Pacific Division, Bo Horvat of Vancouver.
Interesting.
Yeah. I didn't think about that actually.
Yeah, I don't know what they would do.
Yeah, maybe they won't officially make the transaction until
I don't know, because the Islanders, like, next game, I think, is against the Canucks. Like, I'm pretty sure. So it'll be interesting.
Wow. And the plot thickens. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta wonder if there was like bad vibes there, and that's what accelerated this, like with the
it could be
throw thing and the new coach. I wonder if they're just like, all right, we start here and now and say goodbye to those that aren't riding the train. We'll see.
No, you're totally right. So anyways, now I'm thinking about that. So now in the All-Star game, so I do want to bring up some fun little tidbits about this. First, I haven't heard anything if they're going to let the girls do their 5-on-5 game. I hope so, because that was really fun.
Yeah,
I haven't heard anything, but I really hope they do.
I don't love watching, like, women's basketball is hard for me to watch, and I'm just not a big basketball person, but honestly, if you're going to support a women's sport, like hockey is it. Women's hockey is it's worth watching. Yeah, I'll be curious to see that.
Definitely. So besides that, which again, I thought for Vegas last year, I thought it was awesome, right? They have a few new things. So Vegas kind of introduced these, city or area special type thing where they had like 21, they had the games at the Bellagio, they were in the fountains. It was really cool. So here at Miami, they've introduced a few new things. And so you can read Allie's comment here. She did her research. So while in Miami, they've introduced a few different games. The first one is called Splash Shot, which is taking place on the beach in Fort Lauderdale. Wow, if I could read. Fort Lauderdale. There will be 8 shooters, 2 on each divisional team. Players will compete head-to-head and are required to hit all targets before attempting to dunk their opponents. It's your midway game. Throw the ball at the target and dunk your opponent. Like, that's going to be so much fun because some people are going to want to get that done as fast as possible.
Well, and I think that they're going to actually like put some work into it because you get a reward that's beyond just like some kitschy, like,
you get to dunk one of your friends off the ice, but opponents on the ice. There's going to be a lot of people wanting to get that win. I don't think they've announced who's doing what. They might do that later this week.
I don't know, because that's what I was wondering what Makar was going to be doing.
Yeah, I'm not sure, and maybe they bring in other players because like they brought in Pietrangelo and Zegras and all those guys for like the stuff last season. So they maybe bring in skills people. I don't know. Okay,
So my
second
kid
one.
loved it. My kid is so excited for the All-Star game. He's like counting down the seconds till it starts. He's so excited.
Do the ladies scrap? Asks Ray. No, they can't, but I've seen them do it.
Yeah, so women's hockey doesn't have checking, but they have their own way of pinching that's not considered checking
yeah.
boards. And women are I've played with both men and
They're very emotional.
they're catty and they hold a lot of grudges.
Oh
And
yeah,
I think that the
it's
chirping
good
on the
stuff.
ice is a lot more inappropriate than
It
men's
just reminds me of, I want to say it was the Women's Worlds. And Allie, if you're listening, I think you know the occasion that I'm talking about, but I want to say it was Women's Worlds, Canada versus US, if I'm not mistaken. And it was like 2 seconds, or whatever, 30 seconds left in the game. And the head coach for the United States says, go hit him. I don't care at this point.
Yeah.
Just go hit him. And a giant brawl ensued. And it was the most amazing thing I had watched in a long, long time.
Yeah. Female hockey players they're a breed of their own.
Just go hit him, he said. Oh, it was so great. Yeah, right there, says Allie. Last 10 seconds, and the U.S. coach said, go get him. Just hit him. And they did. So that's to answer your question. But, yeah, hopefully that does come back. So next game here. This one's interesting. Pitch and puck is what it's called.
My kid is so excited for this.
Using a combination of hockey and golf shots, 6 NHL All-Stars will play a par 4 course, as in golf, featuring an island green. The lowest score wins the competition. If there is a tie for the fewest shots, the longest drive will determine the winner. They are golfing with hockey now. How crazy
this is like that? A super famous like golf hole, isn't it? Like there's something special about this particular hole that they're using or something. I think
so. I read something into that. That is correct, but I don't remember where and what it was.
Because I don't know how far it is from the rink and stuff. So it's interesting, especially it translates well. All these guys for the most part golf, so they could probably all be professional golfers with the drive that.
Yeah, like if they put Alex Newhook on there, he would wipe the floor with everyone because they asked. I know Katie Goss on the Altitude Twitter asked everyone where they're going, and Newhook said he's going to Scottsdale just to golf.
Yeah,
like that's it. And I'm like,
he could probably use a little R&R, so he needs to unload his brain a little bit.
Definitely. Third game, and this one is the one I'm probably most interested to see, called Tendy Tandem. One goalie from each division will be designated the shooting goalie and one the in-net goalie. The shooting goalie from a division will take a shot from a designated mark at a net. 3 points will be earned if the shot goes in the hole, 2 points if the shot hits the in-net target, and no points if the shot misses the net. The in-net goalie from the opposing division then faces 3, 2, or 1 players, depending on how their goalie, the player's goalie, did in those shots. Does that make sense?
Kinda.
So for example, you're goalie 1, I'm goalie 2. You are shooting pucks into a net, right? And you're trying to rack up as many points as you can, because however many points you end up getting allows your team a certain amount of skaters to shoot against me.
Are they breakaway shots, like from the center line?
I don't know. I don't think it says. Let's see. And then for the blocking goalie, a save earns them points based on players faced, and the tandem with the most total points wins. So it's kind of like a strange round robin type deal. But it still looks pretty interesting because it all depends on your goalies to get the points.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's very
hard to find.
I'd like to see how it's done.
For your goalies.
That's right. So could be fun. But if you want to know more, there's plenty of websites out there that explain it more in detail, but that's kind of the overview of it. And then obviously you can't have an NHL skills competition without fastest skater, hardest shot, the breakaway challenge, and the accuracy shooting challenge.
Yeah.
So again, check out for all those. I want to say the skills competition happens Friday, and the games themselves, the All-Star games between the divisions, happen Saturday.
Who is okay? So there was the celebrity. Who's the celebrity goalie? There's. Oh my God. Is it
Luongo,
Lundstrom?
if I'm not mistaken.
Luongo, yes.
Yep.
I don't know. Yeah, he's coming back and playing. So I don't know, where do the celebrity goalies play? Is that just during the 3-on-3?
So that's a good question. I know they had. Oh, she was the first woman to play in the NHL. I can't remember her name for some reason.
It's Sinead.
But she was a goaltender for the Lightning when she did play.
Mignon, I think, is her last name.
That's exactly right. Yep, I had it there, but for some reason it's hard to pronounce, so I decided, well, we'll just. But she was the celebrity goalie, and that was for the breakaway challenge.
Oh, it was.
So I'm wondering if that might be what it's
of
for.
Course, had to like light it up.
I know, and lost.
I think she was supposed to not stop it, but she like did after he pulled this amazing move. I don't know.
But Pietrangelo ended up winning because John Hamm cheated. But I'm not mad. So anyway, that is kind of the nutshell of the All-Star game. And then obviously the All-Star game itself, you have East and West, and they have the divisions. They'll play kind of, tournament style and stuff like that.
And it's 3-on-3, which is like just promoting goals and goals and goals. Space on the ice, space to skate, space to shoot. So lots of goals will be had. What was last year was literally in like the 10s and 15s. Like the goals.
It was crazy because there were some good saves made, but it just everyone kind of went at half. They're
also playing goofy. They're doing windmills and pad stacks, and they're like, at least if I act like I'm being goofy, if I let it in, I am like,
because, and like I said, it's a showcase, right? So they want to kind of show off and do stuff that they've always wanted to do in games, but just probably shouldn't have.
What's your take? A lot of people are saying like there's no reason Seth Jones should be here, which there is no reason Seth Jones should be there. Do you think that they should maintain this one from every team and then the fan votes, or do you think that they should be
I personally do not think they should. I understand the equality in team representation. Like I like that aspect.
Right.
But at the same time, if your team does not have a good enough player to deem himself worthy of being an all-star, then he shouldn't go.
Right. Because then you have people like, if Mac hadn't been voted in, you could have McKinnon not at an all-star game and have Seth at an all-star, which is
exactly. And same with Austin Matthews,
Yes, which so 3 weeks now. Did you see that?
It really should be, if you want my honest opinion, it should be that year. It's so not even by name, right? You could have a big name, and more than likely they'll probably go. But I think if you are performing out of your mind that year, you're an all-star.
Right.
And it's kind of stats at this point.
The fan votes were rigged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I have a lot of Hurricanes fans that were fuming when Martin Necas did not get selected and then reselected for the replacement. Oh my gosh.
Well, and so the Twitter statistics, there's no way that it was
I don't want to go to that website.
That's my other podcast. Sorry.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah,
for all of you that want to follow that. But no, it wasn't. I don't know why the NHL even released that for fan voting if they never were going to abide by it in the first place.
They were not going to let
They realized that oh crap, if they showed a live leaderboard or something like that, so they'd have complete transparency. Then that's one thing if that's actually how the voting went.
Right.
But we know it didn't.
To hold them accountable. So.
But we know it didn't. It's just anyways. So that being said, that's the All-Star game in a nutshell. Again, this, not too much to say as far as upcoming games. However, there's one last little segment I want to have us go through just really fast. People don't really quite know us as far as who we admire for our personal All-Stars. So we're kind of earlier this afternoon, I texted Britt and asked if we could do a top 5 of our favorite current players in the NHL. So if you have your list, Britt, why don't you go ahead and start us off? And just if you have reasoning as to why, that's great. That'd be helpful. But just kind of clue us in on who your top 5 are, people that you enjoy watching.
I feel like if I knocked off like my super like obvious go-tos, if I had to name a top 5 that wasn't the Avs, it could change like with every day, with every game that I watch or every
Sure.
little highlight. But it was agonizing, but I think like when I found my true core, so I put down, and I don't know if this order would stay all the time, but I've got Ovechkin, Mac, Landy, Oshie, and Makar. I
Mhm.
and I know that Ovechkin is like so basic, but I just like I was when were they drafted? They were drafted like when I was like 17. So I was at like
Mhm.
peak watching hockey with the bros, and we watched that draft, and it was such a defining moment in your like high school hockey at that time, like your high school hockey time period, whether you ask people, are you like Ovechkin or are you a Crosby person? Like you could tell so much about a person, whether they were the Ovechkin person or the Crosby person. So Ovechkin is just, he's always been one of my favorites. He always will be one of my favorites. The way that he's managed to play for like 18 years is incredible to me.
Yeah.
And then obviously Mac, I just like his tenacity is just, I think it's otherworldly. And Landy, to be frank, if you would have asked me 2 years ago, Landy would not have been on this list. And when we were having our contract debates at one point in the summer, I was so pissed off about it because we went up to what, like a couple hours before the deadline. I was so mad. I remember telling my dad at one point, like, let him just go, let him go play for the freaking Blues with his buddies. And I was really mad. And we got it done, and I was like, okay, it seems a little bit high. And then last year, I just feel like we saw a Landy that it's hard to even know that it was in there. I mean, he's such a leader, and just the way, if you truly pay attention to him hard, he's one of the hardest working players, and he makes so many good choices. He takes the right penalties. He fights at the right time. You can just tell he leads by example incredibly. And then Oshie is my boy. He played in the USHL. He was in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and I just always loved him. He's just, if you watch his like videos as a person, as a dad, dressed as Prince Charming with his daughter dressed as Cinderella, like nothing makes a woman swoon like a guy being good to his daughter. So he's a good person. I wish he could stop being hurt this year. And then you've got Makar, and I just think you can hate the Avs, and I think it's really easy to hate McKinnon. When people talk about McKinnon being a douche, I'm like, yep,
Yep.
he's my douche. But if
But he's
as
mine.
like Makar, I just feel like then you just want to be obtuse, because Makar is a specimen that is truly changing the game of hockey. The science of using the edges, like his edge work and his skating it's truly a new science. And when you watch him, when you compare hockey with him playing now compared to even 5 years ago, this kind of Rover-esque thing, it is a new concept. And I honestly think that he's going to change the game position-wise, skating-wise. Everybody used to always want, there used to be so many stick handling camps. Everything was about stick handling like a boss,
Oh
going to
yeah.
all these stick handling camps. But now what do you see? You see power skating, because that's what Makar, his skating, you don't have to have hands when you can skate like him. His skating is incredible, and the use of his edges. There's some videos that you watch, and if you slow him down, what he's doing is just
Oh, it's nuts.
incredible. And I just
Oh, it's
don't think people
crazy.
realize what kind of hockey IQ he has and what it takes to skate like that. And that's, if you don't play for the Avs, you still should respect Makar. Makar is a world class. There's no reason to dislike him. I mean, he's truly a generational talent that's changing the game of hockey as we know it within a couple of years. And he's not even close to peaking. I mean, it's all uphill from here with him. So I
Yeah.
am just so thankful that he's my guy, that he's on my team, because it would be agonizing to watch him on somebody else's team and want him. But yeah, it feels like a basic list, but those are my guys.
Hey, and that's totally valid. It's one of those things where, kind of like where you brought up with Ovechkin. You had those moments, kind of like, oh, he's just so good. You got frustrated at it, but as he aged, he's like aged like fine wine. It's like the more he's aged, the more you really begin to enjoy just watching him. And
Yeah.
and you honestly wish him the best of luck. And Oshie, everyone loves Oshie, right? He's the
It's
most
just such
fun-loving
a
player and
sweetheart.
stuff. And like you said,
USA's
like,
sweetheart.
that's right.
The shootout, the Oshie shootout, extravaganza was, I mean, that'll go down in history as one of the most
That was
things that ever
historic.
happened.
Oh, it was amazing. Definitely amazing.
Yeah.
So my top 5, this one, the 5th one was kind of more of the more difficult one to do. So it's that one's kind of more of a spinning wheel. But number 1 for me and my favorite all, current NHL player and whatnot is Tyson Barrie. He was a former Avs, longtime Avalanche, and then we traded him for Kadri and that kind of whole debacle that went down a few years ago and stuff. And since he's been on Toronto and now Edmonton for, I think this is 3rd year.
Yeah.
But he just had so much charisma on the Avalanche and stuff like that. So when I first came into, my fandom for the Avalanche and stuff like that, and Tyson Barrie was just the guy, he was quarterbacking the power plays. It seems like he had all these great little moves on defense and stuff like that. And it was a very, very sad day when he was traded.
It was for the team as well. I mean, he was
for the team, because I want to say he still owns his home here.
Did you listen to his interview on Chicklets recently? I know a lot of people have their opinions on Chicklets, but
yes, I did. Yes. And that's just the thing. It's like every time they're here, or every time they're up there, whenever they play each other, he's always there at practice, talking to the guys and stuff like that, and catching up. His heart is very much in Colorado.
Yep.
Right. Absolutely. He's best friends with the Lumineers band.
Yes.
Colorado natives. I'm not, it just crazy, crazy stuff. Right.
And just a very good person. That was a hard
and just a great person, so it's always fun to watch when he plays, because he had a 2-goal game Saturday, I believe it was. And so I was really pulling for him to have a hat trick, but Tyson Barrie would be my number 1. My number 2 player comes from San Jose, and that would be Logan Couture, the captain. He came on the scene big time, especially with those times, that big comeback against Vegas, or excuse me, the game against Vegas, when San Jose, they were down 4 goals and scored 5 in like 5 minutes or something like that. And it's just one of those. He was one of those players that grew on me as the more I watched him. He's a great captain. He's not the biggest or fastest or whatnot. He's pretty old in age and stuff like that, but he was always a solid teammate, I guess, if you want to put it that way. He knew how to captain his people and his team, and when they were in the Stanley Cup Finals, he was great. And that was always the name that you heard whenever a Sharks player scored a goal. A few seasons back, it was Couture this, Couture that, Couture this. And just, I was like, gosh, I just kind of wanted to know and learn more about him, and just a good guy all the way around. Right. And so he's always one that I'm always watching for, that, you hope he does good and stuff. He's on the little brother team of mine. So, can't go wrong with Logan Couture. So definitely a favorite of mine. Number 3 is Gabe Landeskog, for obvious reasons. Yep. Not only is
so handsome,
not only does he win Handsomest Man Alive award, but he is a true definition of what a captain is.
Yeah,
he goes to bat for teams. Oh, absolutely, right. He's a killer in the crease. He's the tip master 101. Just crazy good stuff. But you can't say anything bad about him, right? And he's got the whole deal with him.
Shen.
That's right. And when he beat up Braden Shen, oh my gosh, that was the most beautiful thing. And that's just it. When a player gets hit, he's the first one there to say, let's settle this. Right? We're done here. He's the great mediator.
He's very calculated. He takes penalties, like gnarly penalties, at the right time. He fights, and it is always at the appropriate time to rile the guys up. I mean, those Shen fights are some of the best moments that you can pick out from the last few years. I mean, he's a lot. I love that Merrick talks about him regularly, because I think he's truly underappreciated in the NHL, because while his numbers don't reflect an all-star, he really is one of the most stable and all-round players and captains that a person could ask for. I don't know what else you'd ask for.
Yep, exactly. And it's like, Jacob Trouba should be taking notes. It's like, yeah, you could go after a guy for getting hit and stuff, but you don't go and make the first hit. You play as clean as you can, and then, he's the father figure of the team. Like that's
Yes.
literally it.
Yep.
But definitely Gabe Landeskog, number 3. Obviously, you knew I had to have an Avalanche player in there.
I know. It was hard for me to. I was like, should I just do none of my Avs?
Because and that's the thing. It's like, if you're a homer and stuff like that, obviously all of them would be Avalanche
and I
players.
could compile 5 different lists of
easy.
moral top 5.
Easy. My wife and I do that all the time.
Their personality top 5, purely ice time top 5, because obviously, like, McDavid is incredible to watch, and frankly, Marchand is just something of his own. I mean, he's such a douchebag, but he's fun to watch. But this is my comprehensive emotional and
there you go
sport top.
That's exactly right. So number 4 for me comes from Boston, and it is a one Patrice Bergeron.
He was a tough one for me to leave on.
That one, it's if you want to know loyalty, if you want to know a guy who he is tough as nails, look no further than Patrice Bergeron. But the guy is a class act off the ice.
He's insightful.
He is
and
amazing.
Smart. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, it's never fun when you're playing him and he ends up being like the best, guys out there on the East right now. They're the best out there. But when we had the shot on this offseason to pick up Patrice Bergeron, I was pulling for that. Could you
imagine?
That would have been the greatest thing ever, So all of them kind of have an Avs prospect look about them. So we'll kind of have that for the Avalanche tie, people they might have looked into. But just again, one of those father figure type things for the team. But dude's as tough as nails on the ice. He'll hit you hard and stuff like that, and he'll chirp at you. But off the ice, he's like, hey, want to apologize for whatever and stuff. Like
very good.
He had an instant where, so him and Chara, this was back when Chara was on the Bruins and whatnot, and they were playing the Red Wings or something, and he just laid this massive hit on this rookie. And like, it was on ice, it was a clean hit, all that good stuff. But after the game, he felt bad for it, and so he texted him and just, said he felt bad or whatever. I think it was the Red Wings. I can't remember, but just. He has hockey is hockey and off hockey is off hockey, so good stuff.
Yeah. Everything I've ever heard him talk about, I've been really impressed.
Yeah. 5th guy.
I had 3.
I had 2 formers. I had 1 former, 1 current.
I think the formers count. So the way I see it is the Avs were so bad that in order to tolerate watching the playoffs, you had to pick a number 2 because the Avs weren't going to get far. So you got to pick a number 2 to get through watching. So I think it's fair for us to have a couple outside.
There you go. And that's just it. As a fan of the game, you begin to see a lot of players and stuff like that all around the league and kind of what they do, and you watch them play and stuff like that. And there's just kind of things about them, So that being said, number 5, and this one is it's a tough call because there's a lot of honorable mentions. So the honorable mentions I will actually throw in are Jordan Kyrou, honorable mention, and on the Blues, mind you, the team I hate the most, right? And that's the surprise, right? So Jordan Kyrou was one. Anthony Duclair of the Florida Panthers was another. But I ultimately gave the 5th position to Matty Beniers of the Seattle Kraken, only because I am watching him flourish before my very eyes on that Kraken team. He became the heart and soul fast. I have never seen the team become more dependent of a rookie or I guess is he rookie this year technically?
He's hurt now. He's out.
And he's hurt now and stuff, but just watching him play, he's got this just swagger about him that is just so intoxicating to watch. It's really impressive.
Especially when you consider he's a child. He's a child.
He is. And he's doing all this amazing stuff now. But it's just really fun to just watch him go out and
It
excel,
is.
and you're happy that it's with the Kraken, a team that so far has done a very good job with their organization, how it's run. Vegas could take some notes,
Yeah.
but there's I think as it sits right now, I'm giving it to Matty Beniers just because of how impressive he has played and how it has impressed me, just how
Yeah.
quickly, you know.
Yeah.
But like I said, there's a lot of honorable mentions. Kyrou is definitely one of those odd ones, but it's just like you can't
Yeah. And that's
fault him for being good. It's just he's on a team that you hate. That's why I wish he was on the Avalanche and stuff like that.
that's why I always just pray that like our guys get traded like send them to the East so that I
Yep.
can not feel so
Yep.
guilty, because that's like Berkey was my boy. Every day I think God, it would be so nice to have Berkey back. I love Andre Burakovsky. But it's nice to see them go far away where I can be okay with them flourishing at least a little bit. I don't want
Oh
them
yeah.
to win the Stanley Cup, but I'd like to see a little personal
Yep.
success. It's nice
Yep.
to see him.
Oh, and another honorable mention that I almost threw in there. Sorry, there was a third honorable mention. Jason Robertson of the Dallas Stars.
See, and that's what Jason Robertson and Tage Thompson for me
He
too.
was he was so close because like Duclair and all those guys, just again fun people to watch, and when they score, they're just as happy as can be.
And that's such a thing to me. I've always loved about Ovechkin. And it's funny because like Don Cherry would get so mad about his celebrations, but like every goal that Ovechkin scored, he's so happy to score. You know what I mean? Like Makar and like McDavid and stuff, they almost look like embarrassed when they score sometimes, but like Ovechkin is truly the happiest guy on earth at that moment. Every time he scored, and the guy's done it 811 times. Like it's absolutely insane. But I love to see people just enjoying playing the game. You know what I mean? And they all do. Obviously, that's why they play hockey. But to see just like a childlike joy is really cool. And Robertson is definitely one of those guys. Like he just plays like he was just playing Chell, and this is a trick that he saw, and so now he made up his own thing, and he's gonna go do it in the NHL on an NHL goalie and score a freaking goal. Like it's incredible what that guy does.
Oh yeah,
some of the things they're doing, I can't even think of, let alone physically.
Yep,
it just blows my mind.
So anyway, that's kind of our top 5. And once again, like everyone said, yeah, we'll be sending him to the Rangers alley. But like we said, it's always Avalanche, right? We will always want to have our boys on top of anybody else. Don't get that wrong. But sometimes, when you're watching throughout the sport and stuff, there are those other shining stars that you just can't help but notice, So we're all, it's always Avalanche all the time, 24/7.
Yeah, and Ray, if you're new to hockey, the All-Star game is a good place to start.
All-Star game's a great place to start.
Pick out one that you like, go to their team, but obviously you should like the Avs. I mean, go watch.
Avalanche is definitely the first.
Yeah,
right.
The Avs
you picked a unique episode to begin to explore your fandom, but we still want to have you toward the Avalanche. That is definitely that's the goal.
But the All-Star game is always fun to see, because sometimes some people just are off your radar and you don't realize just the good things that people are doing, and if you just can appreciate the sport of hockey and all of its little, niche things. It's the All-Star game. I know people rag on it so much, but I love it. And like my kid loves it. And all my kids that I coach, they love it. So it's good for the game, as tedious as it might be for them. But I think it's fun. And I think they're making it better. Like Vegas last year, I think they had a lot more fun with the new game and stuff like that.
And now they have that with beautiful jerseys.
I want
this
one of those.
Perfect. Like this has all the setup to be a really, really good All-Star weekend. So, well, I think that just about does it. We've taken the time that we need in order to discuss the weekend, the All-Star games, and kind of our top 5. So
we've only got 10 games in February. It's not a super easy schedule, so we better figure our crap out by the time we get back. Hopefully.
That's exactly right. So, again, thank you everybody for watching the Cluster Puck podcast, part of the MHRT network. We really do appreciate you guys watching, being a part of the show, participating. We do love to have your guys' feedback and comments and listening to us and our opinions.
Pictures.
Yes, don't forget dog pictures and names. Don't forget to shoot us your top 5, whatever it is. Send it to us. Again, if you like this show, follow the MHRT network so you can get notified when shows such as the Clusterfuck podcast. Bill, who was commenting on this, he's got Broncos Breakdown. Great show. You got Wild Wild West. You have 5280. just so many great shows on
No,
this
they
network.
did
So
another neighborhood without me. I didn't know they were doing it, but I had a Muskie game.
yeah,
That
they
night.
have the neighborhood where they're
I've done
doing
one of those.
Avalanche games now. So if you want to go
Yeah,
and pop into one of
I
those,
need to do it when I'm
do
not
it.
working.
There you go.
Love that.
So if you want to follow us specifically, Clusterpuck Avs on Twitter and Instagram, the Clusterpuck Podcast on Facebook, and then like we said, email those dog pictures with names, cat pictures with names, top fives, whatever it is you want to send those into clusterpuckpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll definitely take a look at them. And if there's some that we like, we might even throw them up here on the screen.
Yes.
But that does it for this week. So we hope you guys again have a wonderful All-Star weekend. Enjoy a nice break. We don't have to stress about games being played this week and stuff. Great time for rest. So that just about does it for me. Anything you wish to add, Britt?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, good deal. Well, enjoy the All-Star break, everyone. And like we always say, go Avs, go.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
'Cause this party is over.